What's that book you're reading?
It's about astronomy, black holes, planets, the Big Bang.
Not exactly a light read, but I suppose you like that sort of thing. Me, I like to relax when I read.
It's just, I read this article online the other day.
Uh-huh.
It was about this physicist. She discovered these things called pulsars, which are like, well, they're an incredible kind of star.
Uh-huh. She?
Yeah, her name's Jocelyn Bell Burnell. She's a respected physicist. Well, that's the thing. That's what got me interested. There aren't many women working in that area.
But hang on, she discovered these stars?
Yeah, she was a postgraduate student at the time, but the guy who was her supervisor got all the credit.
You're kidding.
No, he won the Nobel Prize.
So who did you say this woman was?
Jocelyn Bell Burnell.
But I've never even heard of her.
Well, no, that's the point. On this website, it talks about, well, it's got a whole lot of information on people like her. You know, people who work behind the scenes and don't get the credit or don't become famous. It was really interesting.
Yeah, I bet there are a lot of people like that.
I mean, she really is an inspiring woman. Even when she was at high school, they weren't going to let her join the science class.
When was this?
Back in the 50s.
Really? Even in the 50s?
Yeah. And then at the end of the year, she came top of her class. And when she was doing her PhD and made her amazing discovery, she had a young child and was having to manage a whole lot of things in her private life too. I mean, she was really determined, but in a quiet way. And then, when the newspapers wanted to interview her, they didn't want to know about her research. They just asked a lot of stupid questions about her height, her clothes, that sort of thing.
That's terrible, isn't it? So, is that a biography of her that you're reading?
Well, no, it's just a book about astrophysics.
Astrophysics? Just? So you're going to become, what, a rocket scientist or something?
Well, no. I don't know. The thing is, after I read the article, I found an interview with Jocelyn Bell Burnell online. And she was talking about how even today, there still aren't many women who go into science and become scientists.
So now you want to go back to university and do a physics degree?
Maybe. But you know, why not? I've always been good at science and I used to really enjoy physics.
But are you really prepared to study and put in all that effort?
Yeah, I think I am.
Well, you've always been motivated, that's for sure. And stubborn.
But I'm still thinking about it. Doing some reading, that kind of thing.
Well, actually, good on you. Why not make a change? Take a risk. I admire that.
Yeah. Actually, that's what she says in the interview. Be prepared to take a risk. You'll probably surprise yourself. And she said something else very simple about women wanting to be scientists. Go for it. And I thought, yeah, why shouldn't I?
So, Alison, you went to find out about the 30-day challenge. What is it and how does it work?
Yes, I went to a one-day seminar about it. The basic idea is that, according to psychologists, 30 days is about the time it takes to really develop a new habit, because that's how long it takes for our brains to shift to a new direction. So often, if we try something new, we give up after about a week or two because our brain hasn't adapted. So the idea of the 30-day challenge is you choose something you want to do, like drink less coffee, for example, and you keep going for exactly 30 days.
So if you manage to do it for 30 days and you feel good about it, you'll probably keep to it. Is that the idea?
That's right, yes. But the other thing about it is that 30 days isn't a very long time. 30 days goes past quite quickly anyway. So if you decide to do something completely new, let's say you decide to get up at dawn every day and see the sunrise. Maybe you wouldn't want to keep it up for your whole life, but it might be fun to do it for just 30 days. So it's also a chance to try something different. And if you're successful, it's great. But if it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter too much.
I see. So it's not just about giving up bad habits. The idea is really that you try out something new.
Yes, very much so. There were people at the seminar, for example, who'd written a short poem every day for 30 days, and someone else had tried to eat something new every day for 30 days. So it's a chance to do something you've always wanted to do, or maybe something new that you never thought of doing.
It sounds a lot of fun if you've got time for it.
Yes, well, you can either do something that doesn't really get in the way of your life, like writing a poem. You can do that in your lunch break. It's easy. Or you could take time out and have a go at something you've always wanted to do, like paint a picture or climb mountains or something. Obviously, to do something like that, you need to make an effort, and of course you have to give yourself a time limit of 30 days.
So it sounds like you think it's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea, yes. I came away convinced.
So are you planning to try the 30-day challenge yourself?
Yes, in fact, I already am. I decided to put my car keys in a drawer and I'm going to cycle everywhere for 30 days, even if it rains.
And how's it going so far?
Really well. I'm finding it much easier than I expected.
And when did you start?
This morning.
Well, good luck with that, Alison. Now, Alison's only just started, but next up on the Life and Style podcast, we're going to talk to a few more people who've been doing the 30-day challenge. They're all about halfway through, and they've done it successfully so far.
Sophia. What made you decide to become a vegan, Sophia?
Well, for quite a long time now, I've been trying to eat less meat, partly for health reasons. I think a plant-based diet is better for you.
Didn't you ever think of going vegan before?
Yes, but I always thought I'd miss meat too much. The idea of going vegan for 30 days was really good because I could give it a try and then see how I feel.
And how do you feel? Are you finding it difficult?
No, I feel really good. Actually, I don't miss meat or dairy at all, so I think I'll easily manage the 30 days, and I might try to keep going longer.
Carla. Carla, why did you decide to draw something every day?
Well, I've never been very good at drawing, but I've always thought I'd like to start drawing things around me. It's one of those things that you think about doing, but you never get round to.
What have you drawn pictures of so far?
Oh, all kinds of things. At the beginning, I drew objects around me at home. Then I went out in my lunch break and started drawing things outdoors. Like yesterday, I drew a duck in the park. That was really difficult.
So do you feel like it's been worthwhile?
Oh yes, definitely. I'm still not very good at drawing, but it's been a lot of fun and it's very relaxing.
Steve. Steve, what language did you decide to learn?
Well, I thought I'd choose a language that isn't too different from English, so I decided to try Italian.
Isn't it difficult to keep it up?
Yes, it is. I've had to be very strict with myself. I'm using a book with online support, so I usually try to cover one lesson a night.
And who do you practice with? Or are you just studying alone?
Well, there's an Italian restaurant nearby, and I'm friends with the owner, so I go there and chat to him. That's another reason I chose Italian.
And do you think you'll keep going after the 30 days?
Maybe. Or I might try a different language every month. I'm thinking of trying Japanese next.
Thank you. Now, talking about global issues can be overwhelming. Numbers involved can be so huge, it's often difficult to fully appreciate what they mean. So, to help me explore a topic that's close to my heart, I'd like to start by putting some of the biggest issues into a simpler context. Now, imagine that instead of over 7.5 billion people, the population of the world was represented by a village of 100. In this context, each villager would represent 75 million people. So, in terms of populations, 59 of the villagers would be from Asia, 16 from Africa, 10 from Europe, 9 from South and Central America and the Caribbean, 5 from Canada and USA, and just 1 from Oceania, which is Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands. 10 of our villagers would live on less than $2 per day. Only 7 would have a university education, and 14 wouldn't be able to read. When it comes to housing, 22 of them wouldn't have adequate and permanent shelter, while 12 wouldn't have safe drinking water. In this village, 15 would live without electricity and about 40 without access to the internet. 62 would own a mobile phone and 16 would own a car. 14 would speak Mandarin as a first language. 8 would speak Hindi, 7 would speak English, 6 would speak Arabic, 5 would speak Spanish, and the rest would speak one of over 7,000 other languages. Of these, over 3,000 are endangered, and this is what I'd like to talk to you about today. Simply put, if a language has no native speakers, it dies. Perhaps the best-known example of this is Latin. Although it's still sometimes used for formal purposes, no one learns it as their first language, and it's no longer passed down from generation to generation. So, why does this happen? Well, there are many factors that cause languages to become endangered, but arguably the most common is that the language is no longer used or taught in schools, usually because there is a more popular or dominant language in the area. As a result, children are less likely to use the language at home or teach it to their children when they grow up. So, why should we care? If we all spoke the same language, wouldn't it be easier to communicate? Well, language plays a central role in people's culture and identity. If their language dies, part of their culture will die too. And this means their unique way of seeing the world is gone forever, because language shapes how we think. But things are beginning to change for the better. People are reviving dying languages and rebuilding their cultures. One success story is Cornish, a language spoken in the southwest corner of the UK. Cornish was barely surviving until recent decades. Then, in the 21st century, Cornish speakers found one another online and used social media to keep the language alive. They organised regular events to speak together in public, and the result was a wonderful rebirth. Today, there are street signs in Cornish, and some schools teach it. This is really important. As long as young people are learning a language, it will survive. There are many other examples of people reviving their endangered languages. One Native American tribe called the Tunica is reviving its language by teaching a curriculum based on an old Tunica dictionary and recordings of songs and stories. In Bolivia, people are working to revive endangered languages by creating blogs, virtual communities, videos and podcasts in the languages. One tool that is helping this effort is Wikitongues. Wikitongues is a global network of people who are trying to keep endangered languages alive. They do this using different methods, such as building an index of languages, providing a toolkit for identifying the needs of an endangered language, and supporting individual projects. One project is the creation and distribution of children's books in Nalu, a language from Guinea. Another project is building community language education programs in Congo to keep a language called Kihunde alive. A third project involves Wikitongues recording oral histories, people talking about their lives and cultures and telling stories in their mother tongue. These outstanding projects are essential. They're a shining light in the effort to preserve languages. All of these projects show that it's people that make the real difference. As long as there are people that care enough about their language to record and document it, teach it to new speakers, and use it regularly, the language will survive.
I'd like to start off by saying that I completely agree with the idea that online communities are the best way to connect with like-minded people. This is true for three main reasons. Firstly, online communities allow us to connect with people all over the world at any time of the day or night from our sitting room. A good example of this is when I get home from work and I'm tired and I don't have very much time. I can't really go out with friends, but I can easily spend an hour or so interacting with people in my network on social media. Or when I'm away travelling for work and I can't go out with my friends, I can still keep in touch that way. As a result, I still manage to have a good social life even when I'm busy. Secondly, online communities involve people from all types of different backgrounds and cultural experiences, which are different to my own. They allow for an amazing exchange of ideas based on our own interests, but which incorporate different cultural values and experiences. For instance, one group I belong to has people in it from India, Argentina, Canada, the USA, and Europe. In my day-to-day life, I would never have the opportunity to connect with so many different people who are all interested in the same thing that I am. The obvious impact of this is to broaden our understanding and widen our knowledge of a particular area, because we can learn about it from many different viewpoints. And finally, online communities are more efficient. I don't have to waste time interacting with people I'm not interested in, but who maybe live or work near to me, or are friends of my friends. When I spend time in my online communities, I get to choose exactly who I want to socialise with in my very limited free time.
I'm afraid I completely disagree for the following reasons. As far as I can see, whilst online communities allow us to connect with people from around the world, face-to-face interactions are far more meaningful. Secondly, you say that online communities allow you to exchange ideas with people who are very different from you. But I don't think that's true. The evidence suggests that online communities encourage you to live in a bubble where everybody thinks in the same way as you. This would lead to the idea that people who never have their views challenged
I'd like to start off by saying that, as far as I can see, social media has killed the art of conversation. If you look at a group of teenagers who get together, the first thing you'll see is that they're all looking at their screens instead of having conversations with each other. I think this is really sad. Furthermore, the evidence suggests it's making people feel lonely too. Secondly, we can see that people often choose to text or message each other rather than using the phone and talking to someone. Nowadays, people even finish their relationships by text. Another good example of this is in companies. Lots of office workers talk to their colleagues through messages, even when they work in the same office. Some companies even use text messages to fire their staff. I think the obvious impact of this is that the more we use messaging instead of talking to people, the harder it becomes to have real conversations, because we simply can't remember how to do it. We haven't had enough practice. And this leads to the younger generation never even learning the art of conversation in the first place.
Part 1.
Hello everyone, and thank you for coming. This evening I'm going to talk to you about how to take great photographs. The 5 secrets that every good photographer knows and uses. To be honest, these aren't really secrets, but hopefully they'll be new to some of you and you'll find them useful. OK, let's start with a photograph that includes some of the most common mistakes that amateurs make. As you can see, this photo is a typical snapshot, the sort where someone got a woman to pose for the camera. Nothing against posing, though my preference is for more natural shots, but in any case there are several basic errors. First of all, the picture taker made sure the sun was behind him or her to avoid sun going into the lens, and that's good. But this way the subject has the sun blasting on her face, just a flat, hard light. It also means that she can't open her eyes properly. Secondly, the subject has been centred in the frame, which leaves a lot of space at either side of her and creates a pretty boring and predictable image. This leads me to the third common mistake that people make, which concerns the background. We can see too much background here. The street scene with parked cars is distracting and unattractive. Fourthly, overall, there's too much space around the subject. The picture taker is either too far away or has used the wrong perspective, or both. Leaving too much space around the subject can make them appear smaller than you like and make objects in the background too important. The final thing to check is the angle. Amateur photographers often stand higher than their subject, which makes the subject look up, which is not the best angle to see a face. But actually, in this case, the photographer has got it right and positioned the camera in line with the subject's eyes. You might think I'm being unfair, as this is just a quick snapshot, but I want you to see just how simple it is to make even your family snapshots consistently good photos.
Part 2.
OK, so here are the 5 key rules. Rule number 1, light from the side. So if you're outside, notice where the sun is shining from and position yourself so that it's to your left or right as you're facing your subject. If it's to your side, the subject won't have that flat, hard light on them, but much more interesting shadows and shades, which give the image more depth and contour. Rule number 2 is the rule of thirds. When you're framing a shot, divide the screen up into thirds, both horizontally and vertically, and think of the 4 points where the lines intersect as centres. If your subject is a face, position the centre of face at one of these 4 points. In other words, place your subject off-centre to add interest. Which brings us to rule number 3. Think about your background. Avoid cluttered backgrounds which distract from the main focus of your photograph. This may mean positioning yourself in a particular way, so, for example, there are trees or water or sky behind your subject and not cars. You can then use natural elements in the background to add texture and pattern. Rule number 4 is related to this. Take 3 steps closer to your subject. Try to fill the picture with your subject rather than leaving a lot of air around, unless the background or surroundings are important. And rule number 5 is to adjust your height to your subject. So if they're much shorter, for example a child, kneel or crouch down. The lens and their eyes should be at about the same level. You'll be amazed at the difference. So those are the 5 rules. Let's look at another photo of the same person and see how the rules work in practice.
The importance of child literacy cannot be overstated, and in today's presentation, I'm going to talk about why literacy is so crucial to children and how it can be improved or gained later in life by those who missed out in childhood. Firstly, what is literacy? In simple terms, it's the ability to read and write. However, this varies across cultures. For example, in the UK, reading comprehension is an important part of literacy, but this may not be the case in places where people rarely read in print. Similarly, older generations may not be as literate in digital media as younger people. Unless people can read, they will struggle with many everyday tasks. For example, we need to read timetables and labels, such as instructions for taking medicine or cooking food. We also read signs to help us get around. In the past, if we wanted to communicate with people, we made phone calls. These have been replaced by instant messaging. For example, appointments might be confirmed this way, and we make arrangements to see friends and family by text because it's quick and efficient. And this is fine. These are basic functions of reading and writing, but we need literacy for social purposes too. We need to be able to understand current events and be able to communicate properly with other people. A high level of literacy enables us to do this better. So, how can young people be supported from the earliest age when it comes to literacy? Reading bedtime stories to very young children is where the journey starts. Later, provided that they are able to read for themselves, they should be encouraged to access a wide variety of materials, such as the news, magazines, websites and novels. But what about those who struggle with reading and writing? There are a variety of ways to help. If a child is falling behind their peers, early action will help. Choose books at the right level and consider audiobooks, which will still help them with comprehension. There are specialist apps that are accessible for children, and children will enjoy the interaction. Learning to read can be made fun. For example, teachers can ask children to describe an object using as many adjectives as they can, or they can read clues in a game to find treasure. They can get interested in writing short poems or review a film they've seen. The opportunities are endless. Of course, trips to the library are a great place to start and can be made with very young children. They can be an exciting weekly event when children choose their own books and enjoy reading them with parents or guardians. Finally, what about adult literacy? If someone had missed a lot of school through illness as a child, they would probably have fallen behind and struggled to catch up, for example. Adults can be encouraged in similar ways to children. Fortunately, today there is plenty of teaching material aimed at adults who've missed out.